What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Gooner channel, a channel 100% dedicated to the Arsenal, who, as we all know, are by far the greatest team the world has ever seen. What I thought I'd do in this video is just a shopping list. These are the players that I think Arsenal should be going out to get in order to give us the best possible chance to compete for the top honours next season. Now, for me, our first team is not that far off, but it's clear that we lack depth in certain areas. I feel like, and this is not in the know or anything like that, I feel like Arsenal are well prepared this summer and know who they want and which positions they want them in. These are my chosen players. If we get all of these, I would be absolutely thrilled. When do you ever get everything you want from a wish list? However, let's get started. First on that list for me, easily first on the list, and actually seems like I share the same values as Arteta and Edu. It's Declan Rice. Not just for his on the ball skills, but also for his leadership qualities, his character. I think he would fit really well into the Arsenal team in place of, for me, Thomas Partey. I would be looking to move Thomas Partey on. I realise that's controversial, but we'll get to the amounts. This list is put together with 200 million that we supposedly have in the war chest. Whether that's a real amount or not, probably not. But I'm working on the basis that we have 200 million to spend, and any money I get from selling players can go on to buying more players. Hope that makes sense. Number 2 on the list is Moses Caicedo. It's becoming more and more obvious that what happened in the January transfer window is we had our final bid knocked back and were told that there was no way that Brighton were going to sell Moses Caicedo because he was pivotal to their plans of getting into Europe. They have achieved that now, and there's a lot of reporting around the gentleman's agreement with Moses Caicedo that he would be allowed to leave in the summer. This explains him signing a new contract. The reported amount that they had agreed that they would accept from Arsenal in summer if Arsenal stopped bothering and badgering them was 75 million. Now, there is a point here as well that Arsenal seem to be being respectful of other teams and playing pretty fair. With Declan Rice, they've been told not to table any bids until after the Conference League because they don't want the player's head turned, and Arsenal seem to be respecting that. We're expecting a huge bid for Declan Rice immediately after that, and similarly with Moises Caicedo. And I think this is really good form. You want to have good relationships with these clubs, certainly a club like Brighton, right? The next one on here is Joao Cancelo, and this one is a no-brainer for me. We clearly lack depth at centre-back this season, but let's not forget part of the reason for that is because Ben White, Tomiyasu wasn't fit and he couldn't play at centre-back. Ben White couldn't play at centre-back because Tomiyasu was injured, and we didn't have adequate cover on the right. Now, towards the end of the season, Thomas Partey was playing at the right back. If we sign Moses Caicedo, he's been playing right back. We'd have enough cover at right back, and that would mean that we could play players in the centre-back positions. But Joao Cancelo plays just as well on the left. In fact, he can play right wing if you need him to. He is not, it looks like now, going to Barcelona. He's definitely not staying at Man City. And the door does seem open to a transfer of around 60 million. Now, I think that's quite punchy, but I do think that he is an absolutely brilliant player. And now, if you want to know how good Joao Cancelo is, let me put it to you this way. This season, he won the Bundesliga with Bayern and the Premier League with Man City. 2 league titles in a year. The Spurs fans have just fell off their chair, haven't they? Joao Cancelo is an important player. Of course, question marks exist around his attitude when he fell out with Pep Guardiola. But he has only fallen out with Pep Guardiola. I don't think there was time for him to fall out with Nagelsmann. I don't think he was going to. And Thomas Tuchel has talked recently about wanting to keep him. They're thinking of offering another loan. Bayern Munich are interested in him, but I think it's coming to a price war. And the idea that Man City would be scared to sell Joao Cancelo to us is also, I think, a load of nonsense. I think this is doable. And if we get Joao Cancelo, it takes so much pressure off having to find another left back. I did an examination. I'm doing a video tomorrow of the best left backs available for us to purchase. For me, Joao Cancelo comes out on top of that list. I know he's played right back as he is absolutely, for me, top of the wish list at 60 million. So Caicedo, Rice and Cancelo are the top 3. But Gundogan, I know there's a lot of talk about him wanting to move to Germany. There's lots of clubs interested in him. If there's one area where we fell down a little bit, was in the attitude towards the end of the season. And if there's something that you can say about İlkay Gundogan, is he comes good at the right point of the season. He has leadership qualities. He's 32 years old. With Granit Xhaka leaving, he could certainly step into, he would possibly the best replacement for Granit Xhaka and even upgrade that you could find. I don't think his age is going to count against him, surrounded as he would be by young running players. If there's any way we can get İlkay Gundogan, I think it pushes us up a level of mentality and character as well. The next one is a free transfer. But look, the reality is this is a wish list. It's all about wishing. And as somebody once said to me, wish in one hand and shit in the other and see what fills up first. Apologies for the slightly graphic analogy. But here we are talking about a situation where I don't think this one's possible. Milan Skripal, he's leaving Inter. He fell out badly with the Inter fans. They seem to have patched it up. The Interisi have accepted that he wanted to stay, but he hasn't been made a suitable offer. And now he will be leaving. It's always been supposed he would go to PSG ever since January. But PSG's in flux. That might not be such a done deal. If there's any way we can get Milan Skripal, certainly given that he's a free transfer, he's arguably he is one of the best centre-backs in Europe. And this would be a phenomenal signing for us, either to come in and challenge Saliba or as an able deputy, and particularly somebody that could force their way into the team through great performances. Milan Skripal for me would be a centre-back. I think we do need centre-back cover, and if Holding goes out and Skripal comes in, that's undoubtedly an upgrade, right? The next one is Sergio Milinkovic-Savic. Now, the next one is Savic, and I think that as a midfielder, he could certainly come in and play that 8. He's going to go for around 40, 45 million. I'd love to know your thoughts on this one. I don't hear a lot of people talking about it, but I think this one's bubbling under. He has a lot to prove. He wants to win things. He's 27, nearly 28, I think. He's 28 years old. He has a lot to prove, and he plays a progressive passing game, but with just enough bite in there to make him a solid replacement for Granit Xhaka. Now, arguably, if you're going to get Gundogan, you don't need him, but his age is on his side, and someone for a 4 or 5 year contract, I think that would really grow into the role and give us a little bit more edge. He is that kind of slightly, well, there's something about him as a little bit unpredictable, and I think that's always great, particularly in an Arsenal side. And then Asensio, because he's a free transfer, someone to challenge on the right wing. I concede and mentioned this in a video yesterday that, look, that might be a bit too luxury. Do we really need Asensio? Would he get game time? Would he be happy? Don't want an unhappy player, even if it is one that's won 3 La Ligas, 3 Champions Leagues, 4 World Club Championships, and seemingly everything else in between. And then finally, if we just need an extra little bit of something up top, I'd like to see Balogun come back in and test him and give him game time and see what he can do. We need to know which of Eddie and Balogun is going to really play as a second to Gabby Jesus. But Gabby Jesus isn't necessarily the goal-scoring phenomenon that we want him to be. Yes, he adds a lot through his play. For me, Wilfried Zaha. For me, the last one, Zaha. He could play at the top. He could get you goals. He's free, and there's a little bit of romance to it, and great cover on the left. Not that we really need it. I'm thinking of him much more as just up front. So my players in this summer, I'll be happy if this happens. Declan Rice at 90 million, Moses Caicedo at 75 million, Joao Cancelo at 60 million, might be a lot cheaper than that. Gundogan, Skripal, Asensio and Zaha, all free. And Savic at 45 million. But, you know, he's not necessarily a must-have if we're getting İlkay Gundogan. On the way out, now, we know Xhaka is going for 13 million. Kieran Tierney, I would be hopeful we could get around 30 million for. Thomas Partey, I think you should expect to get 30 million for. Tavares, I've put down at 15 million, and Sambi Lokonga at 15 million as well. So with that, there's actually there's 103 million pounds there. That means that if we have a war chest of 200 million, that we could really spend the rest on cakes or hot dogs, or I don't know. It's not my money. But I think this is the level of player that we're looking to get in. There are lots of free transfers out there. And, one of the things that's been really good about Edu and Arteta is that they come and get players that I wasn't expecting to be that good. Perhaps not at the level that Brighton are currently doing it, but, Ramsdale, wasn't that impressed. Hopefully then go out and get somebody. I know they've tried with Tavares and Sambi Lokonga to get the player that's not, going to cost a fortune and give them a try. It just hasn't worked out for those two. There are also players coming through the youth team, Cozy Dewberry, Miles Skelly. Hopefully you completely agree with me and you haven't lost your mind, but I'd want to hear about it if you have. Let's have a heated debate. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? And be lucky. Lots of love.